Welcome to the latest edition of The Blend. My name is Steve Benz. I'm sitting here in cold Chicago. My guest today is sitting in warm Los Angeles, somewhere out in Los Angeles. We all know him, Gary Myrick, and the Figures. All right, so he had some great 90s tracks and 80s tracks, okay? The one that you're going to remember is She Talks in Stereo, and there was another track in Valley Girls. Maybe I need to leave that out there. Gary, welcome to the program, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Oh, man, I need to be in Los Angeles. What am I doing in the cold?
I don't know, but Chicago is a great city.
Oh, my God. So
too cold?
What was that?
Too cold?
It is. It's always too cold. I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years, and I left because of work. You went from, what was it? Was it Dallas or Houston, and you went to Los Angeles?
Born and raised in Dallas, and then lived in Austin, then came to California.
All right, so I left and then came back. I was dumb. You left Dallas. So how did you end up a Texan in California? That just seems a little weird to me, that you would last that long, I should say, in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, I'm an open-minded liberal thinker, and so, and I'm an art guy. Texas was great, and I'm a fifth generation Texan.
Wow.
So I'll always be a Texan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I came out here really because I wanted to make records.
Oh.
And in Texas at the time, there was no independent labels. There was, you were just doing gigs, and that was great for to learn and to play and get comfortable. And I played a million gigs in Texas, and there were bouncers with guns on their belts, for real. I even played a place in Dallas called The Cellar, which was famous for being completely weird.
Oh my God. And
it even had a giant writing on one of the walls that said, "You must be weird if you're here." Yeah. So anyhow, a gun went off one night while I was playing there. Bullet went right over my head. Yeah, for real. I mean, it's the total Texas story that is the real deal. So guys had guns on that worked there. You couldn't have a gun in those. Now you can. Now you could be packing.
Oh my God.
Anyhow. It didn't bother me or anything. I mean, I just went, damn, that's close. I kind of did one of those. And I said, who was that? And I actually knew the guy. He hit his gun on a table. And it went, and I went,
oh my God.
I said, don't be hitting your gun on the table. Are you crazy? Stop that. So anyhow, but I don't know how I got on that tangent.
Yeah, but that could be a good lyric right there. There's a great song right there. Bang your gun on the table. I don't know. There's a song right there for you.
That's a country song. That's a country song right there.
It is.
Bang your gun on the table. See,
I need a lyric. I need a lyric and I need a credit. So if you write something, throw me in there. Okay. Just one.
Bang your gun on the table's not that bad.
It isn't. Now with that, so if we're thinking this is what, late 70s, is that when you moved to Los Angeles? Or
yes, it was late 70s.
All right. So at the time, you would think how far right Texas might have been back then. I would think.
Oh, it was right. But see, I was in Austin too. In Austin, okay. I mean, I was born and raised in Dallas, played in Dallas, and then I was hired to come down to Austin to play in a band down there that was the biggest band in town, and I knew that. And it had some great players in it. It had a guy named Uncle John Turner, which was the drummer from Johnny Winter Trio.
Oh, okay.
Great drummer, great blues drummer. And Tommy Shannon played bass, who was in Double Trouble. And I was replacing Stevie Ray Vaughan. They fired Stevie.
What?
I don't know what he was doing. I didn't care. At the time he hadn't made any records, done anything.
Okay.
And so they just said, we want you to replace this guy, Stevie Ray. And I went, oh, okay. And I knew I had met Jimmy Vaughan through the years. And
okay.
So anyhow, I went down there to play. So and Austin, of course, has always been incredibly liberal-minded, and you know, still is and always will be, I hope. And so, you know, but there's still a redneck factor.
There is.
That, you know, everywhere, there is really everywhere on the planet. But there, you know, I had to, you know.
Adjust?
Well, I didn't have to adjust. I mean, I was born there, so I knew what I was dealing with most of the time. And I, you know, I had really long hair, and I was this thin, and you know, wearing like velvet pants and stuff, you know. So
sweet.
I was a troublemaker, I guess, to them, and but I didn't care. And you know, I was just playing guitar and doing my thing and writing songs. And in Dallas, I'd been doing all my own material at that club, the Cellar. And so I, you know, I had plans I wanted to do my songs, you know, and so making records was important. So I said, well, either I go to New York where I'll freeze my ass off, or I go to Los Angeles that's warm, or London. And London sounds great, but it's really far.
It is.
So I got to figure that out. So then I went, well, I'll just go to Los Angeles to see how that goes.
Yeah, you could have been on Broadway on New York. You could have been in show tunes, right?
I should have been Cats.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. There he is, Gary. Yeah, you could have been in Cats.
I got it already.
That is funny that you could have been in Cats. So where'd you land? Did you land in Los Angeles? Because you're thinking this is the late 70s. It had not boomed.
Tons of smog.
I remember Los Angeles. Okay.
Mind-blowing smog, by the way. Mind-blowing smog.
Right.
Nothing was clean.
Right.
The Hollywood sign was like, ready to fall down.
It was.
So.
Because I got to Los Angeles in the mid to late 80s, and it was already a cesspool. So when you got there, it had to be worse.
It was bad.
You would not want to go down Hollywood Boulevard at that time when I first landed there. No way.
Yeah. No, you didn't really want to go to Hollywood Boulevard. Not really. Like now it's all touristy.
Yeah.
They cleaned it up, and there's cops around hiding around to, you know, protect the tourists, which is good, important.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a little different now with COVID and all that. But
Yep. But see, now, back then, you and I could drive around in our beater cars. Now, if you don't have a Mercedes or Maserati or a Beamer, you can't go down Hollywood Boulevard or anywhere else anymore. Well, maybe you can, but I can't.
No, well, I also ride a motorcycle. So.
Well, see, right there, up the hill.
When I drive a car, I've got like a Mini Cooper, you know, I got a little Mini Cooper. So I'm, you know, that looks like a little race car, but like numbers on the side and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, it's funky. It's so, you know, you can do what you want, but you gotta keep your head, you know, heads up on everything.
Yep. So when you land,
isn't that really big cities all over the planet?
Yeah.
Really? It's that way really everywhere.
It is. Now, Los Angeles.
Now, I'm living in the country.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I moved kind of out. I mean, I'm still in Los Angeles, basically.
Yeah, in the county, LA County somewhere.
Yeah. And so I'm out kind of, I back up to like a state park. So I'm like in forests. There's
okay.
And it's, you know, the ocean's like 10 miles that way. So you feel the air coming in, and at night it's silent, brother. I mean, silent. I'm amazed all the time. I say to my wife, I go, listen, baby, nothing.
That's right. Absolutely. And then you go, oh, see, I lived in Redondo Beach, and I missed that. 4 blocks from the beach, man. I missed that.
Redondo's great.
What was I thinking? Well,
it hasn't left. It's still here.
I'll get back there. I will. I had, when I first started out, I had an office in a small studio on Redondo Beach Pier before it burned. I don't know if you've been there long enough, and when it was on fire and disappeared and stuff. Yeah. So that's when I was back there. So I'll have to get back. But when you landed in Los Angeles, so let's get back to that.
Yeah.
What was your sound at the time? You had to be listening to something completely different than what you were hearing when you first got to Los Angeles.
Well, when I joined my band in Dallas
Mhm.
was pretty, it had an avant-garde blues edge to it.
Okay.
And, we were definitely doing our own thing,
Hmm.
and plenty of guitar. And, I was writing all the songs, so it had its own thing. I wasn't 100 miles from the sound that I created in LA,
Okay.
but, and we were all having fun. Everybody, there was the punk movement that had come over from England,
Right.
and then that had turned into the new wave of art or the new wave of music.
Mhm.
Everybody's got to remember what new wave really means. It's a term for all art. The new wave of acting, films, the new wave of anything. It can be anything. So anyhow, I just was writing, and then I put a band together with a fellow Texan bass player. His name's David Denard, great bass player who I knew in Texas, but we weren't really friends. And so he helped me put that together.
Nice.
And then we got a really good drummer, and we just, and we just started trying to play live. It was all about live, and I'm still that way. My favorite thing is live performance. Always has been, always will be. Because it's real. It's right there. It's at the moment, and I just enjoy it.
Yeah. Plus, you can't hide your talent. If you have talent, it's right there, and you get a vibe from the audience.
There's no tapes.
No.
It's the real deal. Turn it on. Here we go. Either it's happening or it's not happening. So I don't know. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. Even if I do it completely by myself with one guitar, it's still my favorite thing.
So where were you performing back then? I mean,
the club scene really opened up in the 80s.
Right.
Like in the 70s, it was still corporate rock.
Was it? Okay.
And the whole punk movement and new wave movement, which is kind of the same, really was anti-corporate.
True.
Like, we got to get away from this corporate rock is ruining rock and roll. That was the concept. It's ruined rock and roll. We want to get back to the rebel rock and roll that existed with guys like Gene Vincent in the 50s and certain things like that, like rebels, real rebels.
Okay.
Not made up rebels, And so the club scene was into this movement, and it boom, boom, boom. You could play. You could, if you were on that trip and trying to be part of it, then you could play, basically. So we got gigs, we started playing, and before you know it, we had like giant crowds. And see, everybody was going to clubs like crazy.
Right.
Lines around the block, because it was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It was fresh and it was happening. So everybody was curious. What is this? Is it good? Let's see.
Right.
So anyhow, it was not that hard to play gigs. And then I basically got signed in 1979 from playing shows, live shows. No demos, didn't go out with demos or live. Here it is. And we had giant crowds, and they were going crazy, and we were going crazy, and we had it down. I mean, we were on fire. We were on fire. We were determined, and we were on fire. And I have a new, since we're talking about this, I'll tell you real quick. I have a brand new, undiscovered until recently, live album called Gary Myrick and the Figures.
Right.
Live in Texas. 1980, it was recorded. And I just was given, it was gifted to me by a radio station in Texas. Now, when I got it, I thought, well, who knows? It could sound terrible. I don't know.
Considering it was radio in 1980, yes, it could have sounded like crap.
It could have been anything. I didn't know. So I listened to it and went, damn, this is the best live performance and recording of that band at the height of their powers.
Wow.
I mean, we were on fire, and it was tighter than a drum could be. tight, super tight. So anyhow, I heard it. I went, and see, I started my own record label called The Sound of Vinyl Records.
Okay.
That's the name of my
I like
label.
I like it.
And yeah, and so I'm really into doing analog recordings.
Mhm.
I'm nothing against Pro Tools. I've used Pro Tools a million times, and I will use Pro Tools again. But I also know that the sound of vinyl, as we all know now,
Mhm.
is the best sound.
It is. It's
We
here.
know. We
It's
tried
out
it
here. You know, that's
we tried everything, dude, didn't we? We
Yeah.
tried everything, and we're still gonna use CDs and things, and maybe in a car or so, you know, we're gonna use stuff.
Right.
But the sound of vinyl is the best sound. So this had been recorded onto tape
Mhm.
back in 1980. The performance was one performance. We didn't take a bunch of performances, put them together. So I
Okay.
had a whole show. So I just put that out. And so that's available everywhere, like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon.com, but it's only a download.
Okay.
So it didn't cost me really a dime. And I have a big distribution company in Portland, Oregon, that is so nice. They're called the Burnside Distribution,
Mhm.
and they distribute all over the world. And so they had approached me about this other album that I just did called Gary Myrick Forever
Mhm.
Adventures in 12 String. It's all 12 string
Wow.
acoustic, and just me only, and no band. And it was recorded also. It's got a nod to Leadbelly and really old blues stuff from the 1930s.
Wow.
And it was recorded on an old ribbon microphone.
No way.
One microphone, just like Robert Johnson recorded and people like that, which I love and grew up with that. You know, that old blues is one of my favorite things. So I wanted to make that a record like that with my material and my guitar playing and stuff. So that's how all this, they had approached me to be on that distribution company. So now I'm putting things on that distribution company, like this live album from 1980. So anyhow, the bottom line is it's out there. And if anybody's a fan of She Talks in Stereo, which is on this album live, and it's a good version. Every version on it is top notch. And believe me, I wouldn't put it out there because, the record company put out some live stuff and it was good. Yep. But not like this. This is for the fans, really.
For that radio recording, what kind of tape was that put on? You got to think 1980.
That little thin tape, probably.
It wasn't the reel stuff, was it? It couldn't.
They might have had it on the 2-inch tape. I don't know for a fact. I could find out if I had to.
Yeah, it'd probably be 1 or 2-inch tape. I can't imagine that putting on a reel. That would have been way too tinny for that. Oh man, yeah, probably 2-inch.
I did put it in the studio when I got the tape.
Wow.
I put it in the studio just to check and see if I needed to clean up anything.
Yep.
A couple of little cleanups, they were nothing. And then I made sure, everything was, the sequencing of the album and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you didn't have to compress it at all, did you? Tell me you didn't compress it.
No, I did not.
We sound like two old farts, man. We do. People are going to be listening that are like half our age going, what the hell are they talking about, man?
Well, radio compresses naturally. Right. All radio does. So anyhow, it's really a fantastic live record.
Now I heard the She's in Stereo. I heard that live, and that's when I want him on the show because that was,
that ribbon mic.
I would kill for that. I would kill for a mic like that. I would.
And they're out there. I tell you, there's a company in Portland that's making the coolest microphones. Remember those old microphones that are about this big around, and there's a big piece of metal, and there's springs holding the microphone in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. And those were used and still are used like at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yep. Yep.
For bluegrass. They're like a whole band is around one microphone,
Yep.
right? Okay. And they also use those as the blue note, blues and jazz in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And probably also in Chicago back in those days.
Yep.
Guys would be playing, they had that microphone and it was picking up the ambience of the room, which I love.
Yep. I've been looking for those. I'd like to have that sound on my shows. Now, before we take off, I don't want to keep you all days.
It's okay.
I'd really love to hear you play something. You know, maybe
Okay.
new track, maybe an old track. I want to hear it. I think the audience needs to hear you. And then after this interview, I'll play some of your tracks. So we should be good, man.
Okay. Well, you know what? I had over the last year, I had this guitar built.
Mm.
And this is, National is, let me show you real quick.
Wow, that's beautiful.
National is a guitar company. You can't see it. Hold on.
That is beautiful.
National is a guitar company. See, there's
Okay.
National.
Okay.
Is a guitar company that was started in the 1920s in America. And it's an incredible company. And it's in California, San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
So it's right down the road. So for a long time, many years, I have been wanting to custom make a National. This is called a resonator guitar.
Okay.
You see here, 1, 2, 3, these openings.
Right. Sam?
These are cones. So a resonator guitar, for those out there that are wondering what that is an acoustic amplifier.
Wow.
That was invented back in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And put into instruments because instruments needed to be louder. They weren't loud enough. So, and then electric came later. So here's what's called a tricone. 1, 2, 3. Tricone. 3 cones to make it. And so this is the design of the guitars back in the 1920s and 30s.
Okay.
Now,
awesome.
Leadbelly, which was a great blues guy, played on the corners of Dallas, Texas in the 1930s for real. So also he played 12-string blues only, 12-string.
Okay.
And so I'm a fan and I can play 12-string. 12 strings, not easy it's not the easiest because it's, you better have your hands better be strong enough, right? So anyhow, let me put this down a little bit so you can see the guitar.
Right.
So
that's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of art, but it's beyond that. It's
wow.
okay. That's a little loud. Let me turn it down. Did it sound okay?
It does. It does.
So I designed a 12. I said, let's make it a 12-string. I knew they did that, even though a lot of people don't buy 12 strings because it's hard.
Very.
But it's one of my things. And so they built me the 12-string. Tricone is the most cones. And then I had them put in their what they call a slimline pickup. I don't know if you can see it there. Can you see the pickup? There it is.
Yep.
And so I just made this acoustic 12-string, very blues and beyond record called Forever Adventures in 12-String. And so I've been doing, besides playing, I have a full band, doing all my material and loud giant Stratocasters and all that, which of course I'll never stop doing that, but I also do this. And I also should mention that I'm getting ready to cross over into film and television
Wow.
to do some parts.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's Miss Haley is
Wow.
sorting all that out. She wants me to do it. and
Wow.
I'm gonna
I hope
do
it's
it.
all bad guy roles. You don't want to be a good guy. Bad guys are more fun.
I want to be a bad guy.
Yeah, you have to. You look
You
like
know,
a bad guy.
I'll be anything that floats my boat, really. But
You need to carry a gun too. I'm just saying. You need to
Hey.
carry a gun.
bullets went over my head, dude. Can I play that part? I think I can.
That's right.
I've been there. I kind of have been there.
God, that's
So
funny.
anyhow, that's coming. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't talk about it that much right now, but I just thought I'd mention it, you know.
You have to. Because once that's all set, we'll have you back and we'll have you talk about that.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
I'd love to, but I'll just play this real quick.
Okay.
I don't really want to play a song. I'm just going to play a little guitar. We don't have a microphone for vocals or anything, but let's check this out. Wow, it's in tune. Okay.
That was badass, man. That was badass. Gary, always a pleasure to have you on. Where can everyone download your music?
You can go on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon.com, really any place that, you know, sells music online. I should be there. And if you are curious about that live album or this 12-string acoustic record that's very blues oriented, you can go on YouTube and listen to the whole album.
Awesome.
If you want to, and check it out, and then go buy it. You don't have to buy it right away, but you can check it out.
Oh, my God.
Then buy it.
Gary, this was really badass. I got to have you back. I bet we probably could have talked for 4 hours.
We could have kept going, but that's okay.
Oh, God, I'll just have you back. I'll just have you back. That's how it
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me. I love Chicago. God bless Chicago. And I know it's cold, but you know, you guys can handle it. You're tough. Makes you tough. You got some great pizza. You got the electric blues, the original electric blues. Come on, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. For me, that's a big deal.
Man, I'll get you back on Lincoln Avenue, man, where you can just walk in with your axe anywhere and they'll just say, have a seat, pal. Have a seat and just play.
I would love to do that.
Gary, always a pleasure. As I always say, peace, love. We will see you next time.
Peace and love, children.
All right. You take care now.
Have a great day. God bless.